Today's form drawing exercise is switching between inward going spirals and outward going spirals. And it's a rhythmical harmony that we're going to try and create. But first of all, you start with an outward going spiral connecting to an inward going spiral. And then you're doing it, but the opposite way around. So we start off with an outward going spiral towards an inward going spiral, and an outward going spiral towards an inward going spiral, and an outward going spiral towards an inward going spiral. So these are the shapes you start by practicing. And the important thing is to make sure that your bottom or your top here, the line connecting the outward with the inward going, is nice and curved as well. Mine has a tendency to go slightly flat. So here we're going to take this a step further. We're going to connect these shapes with each other now. So here we practice the thing that we've practiced in the previous video, where we're jumping from the inward to the outward, and it looks like this. So here we go, outward going spiral towards the inward going, and jump, outward, in, jump, out, in, jump, out, and in, jump, out, and in, jump, out, and in. I'm hoping it makes sense. So basically outward and then inward going spiral, jumping over to the new form or the connecting form. So the outward going spiral, that's what I mean by when I go out, in, out, in. So outward going out, and here we inward going in, out, jump to the outward going, and then we're in, and then we're jumping to the outward going, and we're in, and then we're jumping to the outward going, and here we're in, jumping to the outward going, and here we're in. So, you know, you want to practice this and make sure that when you're doing it, it becomes a rhythm. Once you've done this, and once you've practiced this and made sure that your tops aren't too flat, like mine has a tendency to do, then you can go on and you can create another shape. And the next shape I want to show you is a combination of this shape, the horizontal, outward and inward going spiral, and then we're going to do another spiral coming from the inside to the outside, but it's going down the way. So it looks like this. We're going out, coming round, going in, jumping, and then out, and then here we're going down the way and coming in and jumping, going out, and then going the opposite direction towards in, jumping, going out, coming up the way and going in. So here you have two sections. Again, as you can see, my shape, my connecting shape down here tends to get quite flat. So again, you know, I would suggest if yours do that too, or if it gets really rounded and you think, oh, that's too much, go through your shape and just think, okay, how can I make this more the correct shape? And you just go over your shape and think and correct it as you go, so that you end up with a shape that you feel looks a bit more harmonious. So, and always go through your shape when you're correcting it, you know, from the start, and go through slowly so that you have time to adjust and do the corrections where you feel that they're needed. Right, so mine was quite flat, and now it's a bit more harmonious. It's got more of a curve at the bottom, as you can see. The next shape I want to show you has 3 outside bits and 3 inside bits. Here we have 2 outside curves and 2 inside curves. The next one has 3, so it looks like this. We go from the inside towards the outside, and then so from inwards going spiral out, connecting to an inward going spiral, and then we're going to jump, and then we're moving over into so from an outward curving, connecting to an inward curving, then we're jumping from an outward curving to an inward curving, and then we're jumping, outward curving, inward curving, jumping, outward curving, inward curving, and jumping, outward curving to an inward curving. Here you can see we've got 1, 2, or this again has gone flat, as you can see, and my spiral here has got a bit narrow, and then we've got 3 outward curve, but we have got the 3 outward curving. You can argue that they're not because they're quite flat, but again, you know, I can go over my shape and adjust it, make it more rounded, and we've got the 3 inward curving shapes. So again, you know, here I would make sure, so I think my top shape is fine, then I'm moving into my inward curving shape, and then this is the shape I want to correct here. So here I'm correcting. So here, as you can see, I've moved my curve. It also changes when I'm moving this curve. It changes the look of this kind of spiral bit, and then I'm changing this a little bit, giving that a little bit more of a curve in the way, and then I'm going to curve this a little bit more out and move that, and then I'm maybe going to curve this a little bit as well. So as you can see here, I've made quite a few adjustments. So I've curved this more out the way, I've curved this up the way in here, and I've also curved this line here because, yes, because my lines tend to go flat. So that's the bit with 3 outwards carving bits, and as you can see, I mean, I could even go over this line here because that's quite flat as well, and give that a bit more of a curve in the way and really adjust it. So it's all about, you know, creating a nice kind of harmony. So the last shape I want to show you has 4 curves, and it looks like this. I'll try and draw it small so that you can see it. So here we're curving, we're going from an outward going spiral, and then we're curving round, inward going spiral. Then we're connecting from inward going spiral to, from an outward going spiral to an inward going spiral. And then we're connecting, jumping to an outward going spiral, inward going spiral, jumping to an outward going spiral, to an inward going spiral, and jumping, outward going spiral, to an inward going spiral, jumping to an outward going spiral, inward going spiral, jumping, outward going spiral, inward going spiral, jumping, outward going spiral, to an inward going spiral. So I'm hoping you can see that. I can see that basically the bottom is cut off a little bit of this shape. But the idea is that you have 4 of these you have 4 rounded bits. There's a rounded bit here, which you can't really see. And then there's a rounded bit here. So I'll maybe try, I could maybe try and draw it up here, which is slightly, and just try and do it smaller. Outward going, curve round, inward going, outward going, diagonally across, inward curving. And then we're going down the way with our line and curve in, and then we're diagonally across and curve, and then we're creating the last, the bit here that mirrors, and then we're doing a diagonal curve, and then a here. So when I'm talking about the diagonals, I'm talking about the inward curving ones, which, as you can see, have got quite flat. So outward curving, the top one is basically the horizontal, and we're jumping, and then we've got the inward curving, which is diagonal, and then we've got an outward curving one here, which could do with a bit of a twist, which is sort of has a vertical feel. And then we've got the diagonal here that comes across of a spiral, and then we've got our bottom one, which is like this, and on a diagonal here that connects, and again I could definitely get a bit more of a top on it, and then we've got our one to the side here, our other vertical, and then a diagonal, like so. Here you've got the 1, 2, 3, 4 outward facing ones with 4 inward facing spirals. So this is a rhythmical harmony with 4. You could of course do it with 5 or 6 or however many you wanted. If you're going to do that, I would suggest that you do like a little curved line, and in fact you could sort of do it in a kind of circle. So if you draw a sort of circle, you could say my first one is going to be here, and then my second outside bit is going to be here, my third outside bit's going to be here, fourth outside bit's going to be here, and fifth outside bit's going to be here. So you could say, okay, so you're curving round here, and then you're connecting, and then you're curving around your next one, and then you're connecting, curving around your next one and connecting, and then curving around your next outside bit and connecting, curving around your next outside bit and connecting. So here you have 5, as you can see, and then of course it doesn't look very neat. You've got these lines, but you might need them to help you so that it's sort of evenly spaced. And of course you can, if you're doing it as artwork, you can always wipe away the lines if you're doing it with a pencil, to make it look neat afterwards. Or maybe you can do it freehand once you've practiced with your circle and these lines where you want your outside curves to go, once you've practiced a bit. Okay, so that's all for this week's Form Drawing Friday. I'll be back next week with a new exercise for you.